Welcome to the Senior Basketball Analyst. It's the fourth stringer back again. And today we're here to talk about boxing, Floyd Mayweather's retirement fight. I'm not going to BS you like the people that are broadcasting on TV. That's one of the things that annoys me about when you're watching something on television. They always just go along with it. We know Floyd is not going to hang up his gloves forever. Floyd is retired and come back before. We know this won't be his last fight. We know he'll come back, get that 50, break Marciano's record. We know he's going to come back and do that. But for now, he's saying he's going to retire, whatever, right? And he'll fall out of the ring rankings, and then he'll come back when at the end of the Canelo Cotto fight and fight the winner. That's what the way the script looks like it's going to play out. But tonight he put on another, maestro's virtuoso performance against Andre Berto. Once again, sticking and moving, dancing around the ring, escapability that is unmatched, quick hands, precise. Floyd don't waste punches, man. Precise punching. As usual, a masterful performance. I've had a lot of problems with Floyd's career, but it's the type of problems that you probably only read if you really read, true boxing analysis. Most of the stuff out there is just noise and garbage. One of the things floating around social media is Oscar De La Hoya, with the silly shot at Floyd about taking somebody to Disney or some BS, and then Manny Pacquiao with a picture of him bored. I'm going to respond to those. I'm going to respond to that kind of stuff right here and now. Here's the thing for Manny. Manny, if you were so bored, watching Berto and Mayweather, well, why didn't you put on a better fight? You come into the ring, taking pictures of yourself and Freddie Roach, posing for the camera, and you get in the ring, no action, man, no action. Manny Pacquiao, for those of you that were bored with the Manny Pacquiao-Floyd Mayweather fight, get mad at Pacquiao. Pacquiao is the one that didn't put any pressure on. Pacquiao is the one that could not push a counter puncher to actually come out of the clamshell. That's on Pacquiao. That was on Pacquiao. That's why it was boring. It was boring because all of the things that you heard about Pacquiao and all the things that when they were blowing up Pacquiao to be this legendary, one-of-a-kind type of fighter, all the things that they told you did not pan out. The angles, the power, the speed, none of it panned out. Pacquiao wasn't even particularly busy in the fight. That's what made it so boring. Berto gave you a much better fight. That was a much more exciting action fight. It wasn't exciting in the grand scheme of boxing or the grand scheme of fighting over the course of, the past few decades that I've been watching boxing. It wasn't like that. But it was a much better fight than that BS that Pacquiao threw out there. Much better. And I'll tell you something else too. For all of this nonsense about, all the time they were blowing up Pacquiao, and all the time that these same people have been telling you that Mayweather is garbage. That entire time, Pacquiao's been walking behind Mayweather in his fights. When first Mayweather fights De La Hoya, because I'm talking about these guys' big fights when they became superstars in the general public. Not to boxing fans, we've known Pacquiao. I was watching him back when he was a lightweight, and Pacquiao was a fun lightweight, man. He was a really fun lightweight. He wasn't great, but he put on such action fights, man. Such back and forth action, man. He was so fun to watch, man. His fights against Eric Morales, man, action fights, man. He was so much fun to watch. Not a great boxer, but he was so talented and so fun to watch. When Pacquiao became a superstar, he became a superstar by fighting Oscar De La Hoya after Mayweather had already beaten him. Then he fights Hatton after Mayweather had already punched him against the turnbuckle and he fell in. Man, if you haven't seen that, for you kids that didn't see Ricky Hatton, I'm going to explain, by the way, who Ricky Hatton is. Ricky Hatton is a fighter, a now retired fighter, out of the UK that was like a lot of guys with a zero. He was a guy that was blown up to be something that he really wasn't. But for us as true boxing fans, he was an exciting guy. He was one of these guys that was a he was a bruiser at his weight class. It's light welterweight, but he was still a guy with big time power in both hands, solid chin, like a real tough grit and guts type of fighter. And he would get in that ring and he would just bang on dudes, just bang on people. And he had like these explosive knockouts. He was knocking out people, punches to the body. And what kind of put him in position where it gave people kind of an excuse to act like he was elite is when he knocked out Costa Tszyu. And Costa Tszyu was, I believe, out of the Soviet Union, if I'm remembering that correctly. Sometimes the country of origin is never of any interest to me, so a lot of times I forget that part. And I believe Costa Tszyu was born in the Soviet Union, and Costa Tszyu was a tough guy, tough fighter, flashy fighter, and he could throw. He had really good power because he could throw a short punch and knock a guy out. His famous knockout, he hit what's the boy out of Brooklyn? Man, I can't think of his name at the moment. I can picture his face. I can't think of his name. But he hits the guy, and the dude gets up, and he does like this, and then he falls again. So if you look up Costa Tszyu knockouts, and in fact, I'm going to look it up while I'm talking to you because I got to remember this guy's name. But Costa Tszyu has a famous kind of YouTube knockout, Zab Judah. Man, Zab Judah. Costa Tszyu hit Zab Judah, and Zab Judah went like this and then fell over. It's bogus. But anyway, Hatton, and in fact, when you type in Costa Tszyu into a search engine, the third entry is Ricky Hatton 10 years later, recalling his battle with Costa Tszyu. This is the fight that really catapulted Costa Tszyu. But here's the thing. Costa Tszyu was a shot fighter by then. Costa Tszyu took a lot of punishment. And I'm almost certain he retired right after that fight, right after his fight getting stopped. And he did. Right after he got stopped by Hatton, he retired. He was a shot fighter. And that gave people an excuse to call Ricky Hatton a star, an elite fighter. Dismantled him and just blew him away. And I mean, like I said, you want to laugh? Watch the Mayweather knockout of Ricky Hatton. He hit this dude so hard. The dude, it looked like he jumped into the turnbuckle and hit his head on the turnbuckle and it fell back in the ring. He hit him. It was like Rocky or some BS like that, except it was real. Just blew him away. Pacquiao fought Hatton after Mayweather did that to him. It was like I was like, who is handling Hatton where he's even getting back in the ring after getting knocked out like that? When you get knocked out like that, you really should not fight again. That's like this thing of where Jermaine Taylor keeps getting in the ring, and we know the sad story of Jermaine Taylor. Now the guy's brain is just mush, and now he's acting in a criminal manner. This is a guy who was squeaky clean before he started boxing, and it's a shame what's happened to the guy. People shouldn't get back in the ring when they get hurt like that. This guy that yesterday, Peter Quillen, knocked out, and they had to stretcher him out. This guy shouldn't fight anymore. When these guys get hurt like that, they shouldn't fight anymore. And you know what? The money isn't big enough anyway to make it worth it. Man, the money for these guys, for these type of guys, the purse that Quillen turned down when he dropped I believe the WBO title, the purse he turned down was $1.5 million. These purses aren't even, after these dudes, after it gets chopped up, the government takes their cut, because this is wages. So keep in mind, this is taxed at the highest level. This isn't like capital gains and carried interest. This is wages. After the government takes their cut, after your team takes their cut, or after your manager takes his cut, after the promoter takes his cut, and then after you pay your corner man, cut man, after you pay all of these people, man, $1.5 million, that turns into maybe $400,000, right? Keep in mind, you don't work this stuff your whole life. You don't work till you're 65. Boxers work till they're in their 30s. This is not enough money to survive on. This isn't enough money to make it worth turning your brain into mush. Guys get hurt like that in the ring, they should never fight again. I hate to see that. And Hatton getting in the ring with Pacquiao, he was already shot. Mayweather took anything out of him that he would have been able to do against Pacquiao. He took it when he punched him against the turnbuckle. Manny Pacquiao, that's how he made his name. That's how Pacquiao became this mega star and now is followed by the Pac-tards, if you will. That's how that happened. Fighting guys that Mayweather had already beaten. He was walking right behind them. And De La Hoya. You ever notice how, this is one of the things that kills me, right? So Floyd Mayweather is 49-0. And people go, oh, man, he hasn't fought anybody. But first of all, Mayweather has beaten all kinds of people. Mayweather's beaten all kinds of named fighters. And I'll tell you, the guy that I thought that was going to give Mayweather a lot of problems was the late Diego Corrales. Diego Corrales was awesome. He was incredible. He was incredible. He was a lightweight dude that was near 6 feet tall. Lightning quick hands, tough as nails. He was the type of dude, he'd been knocked down like 6 times in the same fight and then knocks the other guy out. Exciting, power in both hands, turns into his punches. I mean, he would turn his punches. His punches looked so fierce because he would turn. He had this way of turning into the punches. And Diego Corrales was a really exciting fighter. He and Mayweather fought. They were both undefeated. They were both like 30-0. And Mayweather stopped him. It was like Mayweather was not always this guy that could make his own fights, especially guys as small as Mayweather. They usually don't get to that point in their career where they can make fights like that because, keep in mind, he didn't start out at welterweight. Like he's not like, Ray Leonard started at welterweight, was this mega star. That's not where Mayweather started. Mayweather was, I believe, a super lightweight at the beginning of his career. So anyway, Oscar De La Hoya fought 45 total fights. 45, the golden boy, the golden boy that no one ever criticized his group. And I'll tell you something else about Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya lost all his big fights. Every time Oscar De La Hoya had an opportunity to actually beat somebody that was not a shot fighter, he basically lost the fight. Oscar De La Hoya, I remember, he lost to Trinidad. He got knocked out with the chopped liver and with Hopkins sauce. He got knocked out by B-Hop. Now, in his defense, B-Hop is a much bigger fighter, and B-Hop is an all-time great. So Bernard Hopkins, there was no reason he was supposed to not get executed. I thought when that fight, and it's funny at the time, you'd be reading these columns and people were saying all kinds of crazy stuff. It was like, oh, De La Hoya that lead left hook is going to do this to Hopkins. Hopkins was never in trouble the whole fight. And Hopkins hit him with a body shot and knocked him out. I'm like, why would this guy be able to beat this guy? There was never a moment at any time in the lead up to that fight or during the fight that I thought De La Hoya had a chance of finishing the fight. I was like, he's going to get knocked out. He has no chance. But nevertheless, he was knocked out, right? Sugar Shane Mosley beat De La Hoya twice. Sugar Shane Mosley and De La Hoya are contemporaries. See, and this is when you're talking about a fighter's legacy, by the way. When we're talking about greats and we're talking about who's going to be an all-time great, one of the excellent measures of who is great is who matches up. What did they do when they matched up against all the Hall of Fame fighters and other supposed greats of their era, right? We measure Muhammad Ali against George Foreman, against Joe Frazier. And we know that Ali got 2 out of 3 against Frazier. We know that George Foreman retired the first time, shortly after fighting Muhammad Ali. We know Ali beat the best of his era. De La Hoya didn't do that. And he also didn't take a bunch of silly criticism about, and this is the thing. Again, it's not that Mayweather. Like I'll tell you one of my problems with Mayweather's career. He retired ducking Paul Williams. The first time Paul Williams, if you don't know Paul Williams' career was tragically ended due to a motorcycle accident. And when Paul Williams was at welterweight, he was unstoppable. 6'1", long reach, horrific, scary power in both hands. Mayweather wanted nothing to do with that guy. And he's a much bigger guy. He shouldn't really have been in the ring with him. He retired instead of fighting. When Mayweather is not fighting a guy, I'll say it. But these other cats, Mayweather is fighting right. Maidana, for example, right? Like we could say that Maidana shouldn't have been fighting Mayweather all we want, but man, Maidana's ranked 7 in the world by Ring Magazine. He's 7. He's ranked. He's not just a dude picked out of nowhere. Andre Berto is the guy that is out of nowhere. And I shouldn't say out of nowhere. Andre Berto was actually supposed to fight Mayweather years and years ago, but he kept losing. He was supposed to fight him after he was supposed to beat Victor Ortiz, that bum, and then fight Mayweather. He lost the fight. So he wasn't out of nowhere, but he's a guy, I guess I should say, that's not like Ring Magazine top 10. And then he gets the fight. And that's because this was just a fight to get to 49. And it's lame. I would have loved to see Floyd in there against Keith Thurman. I didn't really want to see him fight Amir Khan because I thought he would took Amir Khan apart. He would have took him apart. And you know what? The thing is, let's say he fought Khan. This is the guy that everybody claims they wanted Mayweather to fight. Mayweather would have took him apart. He'd have danced around him, tattooed him for 12 rounds, and shut him out. And then everybody would have said, oh, well, Khan wasn't ready. Yeah, Mayweather made him look like he wasn't ready. And that's the thing about a Mayweather match. Mayweather makes guys look bad. He makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. And that's the thing that's annoying. Whoever's running Pacquiao's Twitter account and whoever's running the Golden Boy's Twitter account, man, you guys don't know anything about boxing, man. When you're watching Floyd Mayweather, he's putting on a show. He's putting on a show because the stuff that he's doing in the boxing ring, other guys that are fighting right now can't do it. If you a dude standing in the corner, Andre Berto has him pinned in the corner, there is no way that Andre Berto comes in on attack and misses all four punches in combination. There's no way. Floyd Mayweather made him miss so many times. It was like that one. That's at that point where Mayweather was dancing on him. He was dancing and laughing because to make Berto miss entirely like that was so bogus. That's so hard to do. That's like impossible. And Floyd Mayweather on a regular basis makes fighters just miss. Not like, man, he partially blocked it. Not the dude, it was a glancing blow or graze. He makes the dude hit air. The dudes hit air. That's an incredible feat, man. The stuff he's doing in a boxing ring is not normal. When he retires, you're not going to see other people doing that. And for a person that knows boxing, like I know De La Hoya has to know boxing and Pacquiao has to know boxing, them to act the way they do. And De La Hoya, to get back to his lackluster career, his big fights, the wins he has that are supposedly big wins, he beat a shot Julio Cesar Chavez. He beat an extra shot Pernell Whitaker. Pernell Whitaker never won another fight after he lost to De La Hoya. Never won again. You should do a shot. Here's another name fighter on there, Arturo Gatti. Look, we all watched Friday Night Fights. We all know the like ESPN legends, New York, New Jersey, on the boardwalk. Arturo Gatti, we all love watching him fight, man. Great action fighter. But Arturo Gatti is not a Hall of Fame fighter. He's not a great fighter. He's not an all-time great. Like, beating Arturo Gatti, whatever, right? Like Mayweather, stopped Arturo Gatti. I have not brought it up because Arturo Gatti's not that kind of fighter, man. We like to watch him. We loved him. We were sorry to see him retire. Certainly sorry to see him get killed like that. But he was not like a great fighter. So what did De La Hoya do other than be really famous and make a lot of money? When we compare him to Floyd, nothing. He got beat by all of his contemporaries that were great fighters. He got beat by all of them. Like I was looking at his box right now. I'm struggling to find one win on here that I'm really impressed by. So Floyd, we could have, Amir Khan, if he had gotten in the ring with Amir Khan, I guarantee you, Amir Khan, he'd have fought Amir Khan and it'd have been like, nobody cares. Well, oh yeah, so what? He beat Amir Khan. Big deal. That's what everybody would have said. Oh, Amir Khan wasn't ready. Blah, blah, blah. That's what everybody would have said. And I'd have said, I've been like, what do you mean? You the ones that wanted that fight. I didn't really want to see that fight. I didn't want to see it. You know what I would have liked to see? I would have liked to see Tim Bradley. I would have enjoyed that. I'd have enjoyed the Tim Bradley fight. I would have enjoyed, I already talked about Keith Thurman. I think Keith Thurman would have been, that would have been fun to watch because Keith Thurman is more physically gifted than Canelo. And Canelo, he's just too plodding. He's too plodding and not heavy-handed enough. I think Thurman has more power and is quicker and therefore could have made a more action fight out of it. And I also think too, I think Thurman would have not kind of, I don't want to say Canelo gave up, but he kind of just stopped fighting. He kind of just was like, I can't get to him. Oh, well. And he kind of just the rest of the match just kind of walked around just looking at Mayweather and just looking at him. I don't think Thurman would do that. I think Thurman would spend the entire fight chasing Mayweather down and trying to make a counter puncher, let his hands go. I think that's what would happen. And the other guy would have been and Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia kind of annoys me in a way, and he annoys me because he says kind of dumb stuff sometimes, and he's this guy that's kind of being built up into this. He's kind of being built up. To me, he's almost being. He's a really talented guy, good chin, heavy-handed, but he's being kind of Franken-boxered. He's being Franken-fighter. He's being built up into being something he's not. That Lamont Peterson fight that was on NBC, he lost that fight. They gave him the majority decision win, and then he talked about it like an idiot afterwards. Oh, Lamont was running from me. That's what happens when you run the whole fight. Nah, dude. Lamont Peterson was sticking and moving, man. He was circling you and pounding that jab into your face, and you couldn't do anything about it. After the fight, man, Danny Garcia's face was purple after the fight. He got hit with hundreds of jabs to the face, and then they give the fight to him. All because they didn't want to take his zero away. But nevertheless, nevertheless, he's still a very gifted young fighter. And again, same thing as Amir Khan. After Mayweather took him apart, everybody would say, "Oh, well, he was too raw. He wasn't ready." I just went through the whole middleweight, welterweight division. That's the welterweight division. So who was Mayweather supposed to fight? Oh yeah, I'm forgetting. He's supposed to fight Gennady Golovkin. Come on, man. Come on. And you know what? When boxing commentators talk that I've seen a lot of that nonsense in various articles from random sports writers, and fine. If they want to say stupid things, let them say stupid things. But to have people that are boxing writers write that nonsense and the people on Showtime say that stupid stuff after the fight, there is no reason why Floyd Mayweather should go up to 160 to fight Gennady Golovkin. There's no reason to do that. I'll take it a step further. Supposedly Gennady Golovkin's camp will come down to 154. There is no reason Gennady Golovkin should weight drain himself to come down to 154. No reason. None. And if he did, if he came down to 154, you know what happened? Mayweather would beat him. And then you know what happened after that? Everybody would say, oh, well, he was weight drained. That doesn't count either. Nothing counts. At this point, when you're Floyd Mayweather, it's basically nothing counts. Nothing counts. And you know what? I'm looking at his career. Gennady Golovkin has never fought at 154. And I knew he hadn't, but I was just want to make sure. He's never fought at 154. He has been at 160 his whole career. So if he went down to 154, you know what the excuse would be after he got picked apart. And that's what would happen. He's going to get picked apart. Gennady Golovkin, just to give you a little my thoughts on him, Gennady Golovkin is, he's a guy that you love to see because he's exciting. He's got very, very heavy hands. He's got really, really good power. And that makes him fun to watch. The bottom line, though, is I've seen this before. I watched Kelly Pavlik have really heavy hands and be very stiff and, win the middleweight title. And then eventually time is up on that, right? I've seen that before. And to be honest, in Gennady Golovkin's career, he really doesn't have really a single big win. He has no fights against anybody. He's got one fight against a zero on here, some guy I've never heard of. And other than that, I had heard of Willie Monroe Jr. when he stopped him, but he hasn't beaten anybody that really, to me, is like, oh, that guy's scary. He hasn't beaten anybody like that I'd say, oh, and boxing is all about who you're matched up against. Boxing is about beating great fighters. It's not about looking monstrous and scary against guys we've never heard of. I want to see a Peter Quillen Gennady Golovkin matchup. I want to see Miguel Cotto against Gennady Golovkin. I want to see these. I want to see the young man Daniel Jacobs against Gennady Golovkin. I want to see these guys that are 30-0, 30-1. I want to see these guys fighting each other. So, but the notion that Floyd Mayweather is supposed to go back up to 154, which Mayweather I think fought at only once. I'm pretty sure he only fought that at that weight class once against De La Hoya, because De La Hoya was too fat at that time to come back down to welterweight. I don't want to see Gennady Golovkin weight drain to 154 and do this, or do some even dumber thing, do a catch weight. Again, the catch weight thing, stupid, not the way it's supposed to be done. And who's the guy getting criticized? The only guy gets criticized is Mayweather. When Pacquiao does catch weight nonsense, nobody says a word. I don't want to see them do a catch weight fight. I don't want to see that. And for what? And you know what? And by the way, Gennady Golovkin isn't anybody that it's worth making that fight for. If you were going to do some silly stuff like that, do the B-Hop Mayweather fight. Do that fight. That would be two legends going up against each other. That would be two of the greatest fighters of this generation going against one another. If you're going to weight drain and do stupid, if you're going to have some weight drain and catch weight stupid stuff, do that fight. Gennady Golovkin is not a legend. He's just the hot guy right now. He's not even the Ring Magazine champion. Cotto is. So when people talk about Golovkin, like Golovkin is this thing that Mayweather, this brass ring Mayweather should be reaching for. If you're Floyd Mayweather, think about that. If you're Floyd Mayweather, you're 49-0. Why would you care about Gennady Golovkin enough to go up to him, fight him? That doesn't make any sense. It literally does not make any sense. He's not even the most accomplished guy in his weight class. There's no reason for Mayweather to do that. None. And don't nobody really want to see that. That's one of those things people are saying they want to see it so they can call Mayweather a coward. And by the way, too, here's the thing, too. This is also stupid. Stop trying to say that Floyd Mayweather is a coward because of the domestic violence charges. Stop saying that. That's so stupid. That's so stupid. That he simultaneously also commits domestic violence and he would get in a boxing ring and slap you around for 12 rounds. Like, just because him assaulting women makes him a bad person. That doesn't make him somehow, that doesn't tarnish him as a fighter. That doesn't mean, yeah, the only reason, like that's some stupid stuff that a Dana White or that idiot Ronda Rousey would say. Oh, he only wants to fight women. That's why he won't fight Golovkin. That's kind of dumb thing she would say. Like, he don't want to fight Golovkin because he's a middleweight and he's not really a middleweight. And Golovkin ain't anybody. He really isn't. He's not anybody. If you put him on the card, the average fan, the average person would be like, hey, there's Mayweather fighting a guy whose name I can't pronounce. For us as boxing fans, we know who Gennady Golovkin is. Nobody else does. Nobody does. He's a young kid with 30 wins. That's a knockout artist. That's it. That's it. So, you know, when we look at people's careers, that's what we have to look at. So just to get into the fight, it was a very, very textbook fight. It was kind of the same old things that we've seen before, right? Same old things we've seen before. Floyd Mayweather goes in the ring. He gets his timing down. He watched Andre Berto. This time it took him about 5 rounds. It took him 5 rounds this time. A lot of times he gets it down by the 4th. But by the 5th round, then he can start letting his hands go. He was hitting Berto with some combinations that looked like Fight Night, the video game. That's what it looked like, where he hit Mayweather with combination. Mayweather hit Berto with a combination of 6 to the body, where every single punch landed flush. I was looking at that and I said, Berto doesn't even know where the punches are coming from. That's what's amazing. And that's the thing. Andre Berto is not at all a great fighter, but this guy was a titleist. He can fight. You know, he's not a particularly skilled boxer. He's an undersized welterweight. We know all the knocks on. He's poor defensively. We know all the knocks on Andre Berto. But Floyd Mayweather makes dudes look like they're not boxers at all. And it's just a virtuoso performance. The escapability in the corner, the precise combinations, the fact that Berto can't even find him half the time. He can't find him. He's punching, swinging, hitting air. And then there was a sequence. People were passing this around online where Berto was coming forward with the jabs, and Mayweather was giving ground. And then once Mayweather, master of ring generalship and knowing where he is in the ring in relationship to his opponent, he knew he was getting toward the ropes. He took one step to the left, Berto threw another jab that whizzed right by his head, and then Mayweather threw a jab and it hit Berto. It hit Berto flush right here, man. It hit him right here. It was just that kind of stuff happened the entire fight. And you watch Mayweather, man, when he starts moving and the counter punches start flying out at record pace, and he's already ahead in the fight. You have no chance at that point. You have no chance. So I look at these fights, man, and I appreciate what there is to be entertained by. Yes, you're not going to see a knockout. No, you're not going to see you're not going to see 2 guys standing in a phone booth. There's no reason for Floyd Mayweather to do that. There is no reason in the world for Floyd Mayweather to do that. It's stupid for him to do that. He's not that type of banger anyway, where he should stand toe-to-toe with you and we just stand there swinging at each other. No reason for him to do that. So with that said, I'll wrap it up with this. There's people that say silly things about boxing, and they'll say this. Hey, well, Roberto Duran started at lightweight, and then he went up to 160 to fight Hagler, and he went. Floyd Mayweather isn't Roberto Duran, man. Roberto Duran retired not too long ago, actually, when you think about it. When you think about when he started, considering, he was a contemporary of Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard, etc. Let me check really quick when exactly Roberto Duran retired. But Roberto Duran was a titleist at so many weight classes. Really, I think he was a titleist at 6 weight classes, but it may have been 5. Roberto Duran was a middleweight champion. He was a welterweight champion. He was also a lightweight champion. And at lightweight, he was unstoppable. Unstoppable at lightweight. Roberto Duran retired with a record of 103 wins and 16 losses. He had 70 knockouts. 70. Again, Floyd Mayweather has fought 49 total fights. Roberto Duran, 103 and 16. Okay. Roberto Duran retired when he was how old was he? He retired in 2001. He retired in 2001. He was born in 1951. That's right. He retired at age 50. Roberto Duran did not retire because he couldn't fight anymore. He retired after getting in a car accident. It said, okay, I need to hang it up. I'm not going to be able to recover well enough to get into the ring again. Floyd Mayweather is not Roberto Duran. Almost nobody is. This is an all-time great of greats. This dude Ray Leonard. This is who Hoya is. That's who Sugar Ray Leonard actually was. That the golden boy, the pretty face, the Olympic champion, take on all comers, knockouts of legends. You know, we saw Sugar Ray Leonard knocked Tommy the Hitman Hearns flat, knocked him flat. Roberto Duran took that guy apart in his prime, took him apart. Roberto Duran is an all-time great fighter. Again, 70 knockouts. Floyd Mayweather is great. He's the best of an era. But I don't know. I mean, are we going to compare him to Roberto Duran? We're going to ask him, hey, why isn't he doing what Duran would have? Yeah, you know what? Duran in this position wouldn't be fighting Golovkin. He would be fighting Cotto or something. But yeah, if Duran got in the ring with Gennady Golovkin, he'd knock him out. We know that. So, so what? That's like when people compare basketball players and go, oh, Jordan would have done this. How come Vince Carter didn't do this like Jordan? Because Vince Carter's just Vince Carter's just a regular great player. He's not the best. That's why he's not Jordan. So when people make these comparisons and there are people that are boxing fans, that really makes me mad. That just really makes me mad, and they should know better. They should know better. Yeah. If Floyd Mayweather got in the ring with a prime Marvin Hagler, yeah, Marvin Hagler would take him apart. So what? So what? What's that got to do with anything? You know who else would you take apart? Your boy Gennady Golovkin, who you love so much for no reason. So this is what so this is the context to me when I watched the analysis and when I watched the fights. Andre Berto did the best he could. The last thing I'll say is this. Jim Gray is funny with the questions, man. Don't ask Andre Berto if Mayweather's the greatest of all time. You're putting him in a really bad spot because he's going to look like a sore loser if he doesn't say yes. But if he says yes, he's going to look like he doesn't know boxing at all. Floyd Mayweather, when you asked Floyd Mayweather, he didn't want to say he's the greatest ever because everybody knows he isn't, and so does he. He's not Muhammad Ali. He sure as hell isn't Sugar Ray Robinson. For those of you that are uninitiated, the last thing I'll say, I give you a little bit of homework. You want to see the all-time great. You want to see who the real best ever fighter of all time is? Go on YouTube, watch the story of Sugar Ray Robinson. There's a few really nice documentaries on him. Watch some Sugar Ray Robinson fights. Watch some of that. Sugar Ray Robinson is the man, the best to ever lace it up. He's got like 180 total knockouts or something like that. Greatest of all time. He's the greatest defensive fighter of all time. He's the greatest knockout artist of all time. He's the greatest ever. Greatest ever. So go watch that. This senior basketball analyst, you know that.